Jack never considered himself a genius, but he liked to believe he had a decent amount of common sense. Enough to know when his wife, Olivia, was up to something. And no, it wasn't the usual nonsense, staying late at work, dressing nicer, acting distant. That was amateur stuff. Olivia was more sophisticated than that. Subtle. A woman who knew how to keep a secret. But secrets, Jack had learned, had a way of slipping through the cracks. It all started with a single, seemingly innocent event, a broken chair. The dining room chair, to be specific, the one at the end of the table where he always sat. Jack came home one evening, dropped into his usual seat, and nearly hit the floor as the legs gave out beneath him. A spectacular disaster. He barely managed to grab the edge of the table to keep from sprawling onto his back. Now, Jack was not a small guy, but he wasn't exactly tipping the scales into chair-breaking territory either. So, naturally, he did what any reasonable man would do. He blamed Olivia. "What the hell happened to my chair?" he asked, standing up and inspecting the wobbly remains. Olivia, standing at the counter, didn't even glance up from where she was absently wiping a glass with a dish towel. "Oh, that? It broke a few days ago. You must have sat in it weird." Jack frowned. "I sat in it weird." She shrugged, still not looking at him. "Yeah, I don't know. It's old." Old. Jack could accept that. Except it wasn't old. It was part of the expensive dining set Olivia had insisted on getting 3 years ago after deciding their perfectly functional furniture was too outdated. He had been forced to spend an entire weekend assembling it himself, which meant he knew, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that the chairs were solid. So, Jack did what any rational husband would do. He sat in one of the other chairs, pretending to let it go. And later that night, when Olivia was in the shower, he examined the broken one. That's when things got weird. One of the back legs had a fresh, clean break, almost like it had been snapped in half deliberately. Jack squinted at it, trying to piece together how in the world that could have happened. Olivia wasn't exactly into furniture wrestling, and as far as he knew, no one else had been in their house. Except, Jack rubbed his jaw, his mind turning over a few recent moments that hadn't seemed significant at the time. 3 nights ago, he had come home from work to find Olivia strangely out of breath. Not sweaty, not exhausted, just flustered, like she'd been rushing around. When he'd asked what she was up to, she'd waved a hand and muttered something about doing a workout. Except Olivia didn't work out. She had a gym membership, sure, but she used it the same way he used his expensive chef's knife, to look at it occasionally and feel guilty about not using it. Then there was the odd dent in the hallway wall he'd noticed last week, just low enough that someone would have had to fall or be pushed into it. And now, the chair. Jack wasn't a detective, but even he could see the pattern forming. His house was suddenly filled with mysterious, physical damage. Furniture breaking, walls getting dented. That didn't happen on its own. The first thought that came to him, an actual home invasion, was quickly dismissed. Nothing was missing, and Olivia hadn't mentioned anything unusual, which left one other possibility. Someone else had been in their house. Jack didn't say anything right away. He played it cool, acted normal. But the moment Olivia left for a girls' night, he started looking. And, oh boy, did he find things. Nothing obvious, of course. Olivia wasn't stupid. But there were little things, tiny details most people wouldn't think to notice. Like the way the spare room had been rearranged ever so slightly, as if someone had hastily put things back but wasn't familiar with their exact placement. Or the faintest smudge of something on the hallway mirror, the kind that looked suspiciously like a handprint. The biggest clue, though, was in their laundry. Jack never went through Olivia's laundry. Why would he? But as he was switching the loads over, he noticed something strange. One of her shirts, a plain blue one, had a torn neckline. And not just any tear. A very specific kind. The kind that happens when someone grabs it in a rush, tugging too hard. That was when Jack sat down, right there in the laundry room, and really let it sink in. His wife was cheating on him. And whoever she was cheating with had been in his house. Had sat in his chair. Had knocked into his walls. Had probably been the one responsible for breaking it in the first place. Jack let out a long breath, shaking his head. A broken chair. That was all it had taken to unravel everything. And Olivia thought she was subtle. He almost laughed. Jack never saw himself as one of those husbands. You know the type. The ones who lurk around their own homes like underpaid private investigators, snooping through drawers and checking receipts like they're about to present Exhibit A in divorce court. But here he was, crouched in the laundry room, holding his wife's torn shirt like it was some ancient artifact revealing the secrets of the universe. For a brief moment, he entertained the idea that Olivia had simply torn it herself. Maybe she got caught on something. Maybe she was wrestling with the washing machine. Maybe, just maybe, she had been involved in some extreme sport he didn't know about, like competitive fence climbing. Yeah, and maybe he was the king of England. He tossed the shirt back into the basket and stood up, rubbing his jaw. The chair, the wall dent, the weird excuse about working out. Individually, they were odd. Together, they painted a picture he really didn't want to see. Jack wasn't the kind of guy who jumped to conclusions. He liked facts, logic, evidence. So fine. He needed more. Step 1. Check for anything out of place. He walked through the house with fresh eyes, taking his time. He wasn't just looking anymore. He was seeing. And the more he saw, the more annoyed he became. The couch cushions weren't arranged the way Olivia always nagged him to keep them. The framed photo in the hallway, the one of them at the Grand Canyon, was slightly tilted. The bathroom door, usually closed, was cracked open just enough to notice. And then, there was the closet. Jack didn't even mean to check it, but as he walked into the bedroom, something about it just bugged him. Olivia was particular about certain things. Her shoes lined up a certain way, her jackets hung facing the same direction. But right now, there was a small gap in the middle of the rack, like something had been moved. Jack stepped closer. One of her dresses was hanging inside out. Okay, that was it. He wasn't crazy. Now came step 2. Figure out who. It wasn't exactly comforting to know Olivia was cheating, but at least if it was some random guy, Jack could just leave. Let her deal with whatever mess she had created. But if it was someone he knew? Someone who had been in his house, breaking chairs and leaving dents in the wall like they were paying rent? No, that he needed to confirm. Jack grabbed his phone, scrolling through his contacts until he landed on a name he hadn't thought about in a while. Ethan. Ethan had been Olivia's co-worker for years. Tall guy, constantly in shape, the type of person who accidentally mentioned his gym routine in every conversation. Jack never particularly liked him, mostly because Olivia laughed just a little too hard at his jokes. Last year, Ethan went through a messy breakup, cried in Olivia's car about it. Jack remembered that because Olivia had come home with mascara on her sleeve and an overly long speech about how Ethan was going through a lot and needed friends right now. Jack had nodded along, pretending to care. Jack wasn't a genius, but he did know this. Men who cry in other women's cars about their relationships aren't looking for friendship. He scrolled through Olivia's texts. Not hers, exactly, just the one she had sent him. Staying late at work? Don't wait up. Heading to the gym. Finally committing to fitness. Ethan finally got promoted. We're all celebrating after work. Jack read that last one twice. We're all celebrating. Huh, maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was something. Maybe Jack was about to make the biggest mistake of his life by putting any effort into this ridiculous scavenger hunt of betrayal. But there was only one way to find out. Step 3. Confront Olivia. Not in a dramatic, movie-style way. Jack wasn't about to flip tables or throw plates. No, he had something better planned. Something that would answer his questions without giving anything away. So he waited. That evening, Olivia walked through the door, looking exactly like a woman who hadn't just shattered her husband's trust. Jack watched as she kicked off her shoes, stretched her arms over her head, and let out a content sigh. "How was your day?" she asked, already heading toward the kitchen. Jack smiled. "Great. Yours?" She grabbed a glass from the cabinet. "Busy. So much work. You wouldn't believe the number of emails I had to deal with today." Jack nodded slowly. "Yeah? Sounds exhausting." She hummed in agreement, filling her glass with water. It really was. Jack leaned against the counter, tilting his head. "So, how's Ethan doing?" It was subtle, but Jack saw it. The way her fingers tensed slightly around the glass. Barely noticeable, but there. She didn't miss a beat. "Oh, he's fine." "What?" Jack shrugged. "Just curious. I mean, you spend a lot of time with him. Just wondering if he's still sad about his breakup." A slight hesitation. Not enough for most people to catch. But Jack had spent 7 years memorizing every detail of this woman. "He's doing better," she said, taking a sip of her water. Finally moving on. Jack nodded again, slower this time. "Good to hear." Olivia shot him a glance, probably wondering why he was suddenly so interested. "Why do you ask?" Jack kept his expression casual. "No reason. Just, noticing things. Her eyes narrowed, just a little. Noticing what? Jack smiled. Oh, just little things. Like the broken chair. And the dent in the wall. And the fact that you've been spending a lot of time at the gym lately. That last part, he made sure to put in air quotes. Olivia's reaction? A perfect, almost imperceptible flicker of something behind her eyes. Jack had his answer. Now, all he had to do was decide what to do with it. Jack had a rule about lying. It should at least be done with some effort. If someone was going to feed him nonsense, the least they could do was sprinkle in a little creativity. But Olivia? She was out here handing him discount-level deception, and frankly, he was offended. The dent in the wall? Oh, I bumped into it. The broken chair? I guess it was just old. The sudden gym obsession? Health is important. Come on. Where was the dedication? The flair? If she was going to cheat on him, the least she could do was respect his intelligence while doing it. Jack wasn't about to have a dramatic confrontation. Not yet. He wanted her to sweat a little first. So, for the next few days, he played fool. You think we should get a new dining set? That chair situation was weird, huh? Babe, I was looking at the wall. How hard did you hit it? Are you okay? Should we be concerned? Wow, the gym is really working for you. Maybe I should join you sometime. The reactions were priceless. Olivia had a decent poker face, but even she couldn't stop the slight delays, the quick eye movements, the forced laughter. Jack wasn't even mad. He was impressed. Watching her scramble for explanations was like seeing a bad magician trying to hide the fact that they dropped the deck of cards. But here was the thing. Jack didn't just want to catch her. He wanted to make it fun. So he set a trap. It wasn't elaborate. No hidden cameras, no elaborate fake business trips. Just a simple test. One night, Olivia came home late. Again, Jack, being the accommodating husband he was, greeted her with a smile. How was the gym, he asked. Olivia, to her credit, didn't hesitate. Great. I did a lot of cardio. Nice, Jack nodded. What kind? She blinked. Treadmill. Speed or incline? A pause. Both. Yeah, classic mix. What brand of treadmills do they have over there? Silence. Just a flicker of hesitation, but enough. Olivia had been going to the gym for weeks, but Jack had done his research. The gym she claimed to go to? It had bikes, ellipticals, rowing machines, but no treadmills. Checkmate. Now, most people would confront their spouse at this point. Demand answers. Yell. Maybe throw in a dramatic storming out for effect. Jack. He had a better idea. Babe, he said, with the most sincere expression he could muster. I want to support your fitness journey. I was thinking, I'll sign up too. We can go together. Olivia's face did something fascinating. Oh, that's really sweet. But I go at odd hours. Jack nodded. Yeah, no problem. I'm flexible. She forced a smile. I don't think you'd like it there. It's kind of intense. Jack pretended to consider this. You're right. Maybe I should check it out first, though. Just to see if it's a good fit. Maybe you could show me around. Now, Olivia looked like she was being audited by the IRS. Yeah? Sure. Maybe next week. Jack grinned. Step 1, panic her. Step 2? Well, that was still in progress. But Jack had time, and he was going to enjoy every second of it. Jack was starting to enjoy himself. Not in the usual way, like kicking back on a Sunday with a game on TV and a beer in hand, but in the way someone enjoys watching a movie where the main character is making every wrong decision possible. Olivia, whether she realized it or not, was that character. And Jack? He had front row seats. For years, he had assumed that if she ever cheated, she'd at least be smart about it. Have a well-constructed story, commit to her lies with confidence, maybe even set up an elaborate alibi. But no, Olivia was winging it, and she was terrible at it. Take, for example, the gym situation. Ever since Jack had expressed an interest in joining, Olivia had somehow become busier than ever. Meetings at odd hours, errands that took suspiciously long, even a new and deeply unconvincing claim that she had signed up for a separate gym just for women. Wait, Jack had said when she dropped that little bombshell over dinner. So, you have 2 memberships now? Well, yeah, Olivia nodded. The other one is 4, different workouts. Jack tapped his fork against his plate. So, you go to 2 different gyms, but I can't come to either? She blinked. Well, they're my thing, My time to unwind. Jack let out a thoughtful hum, then smiled. Makes sense. That was the moment he realized Olivia had officially reached the throw excuses at the wall and see what sticks phase. And the best part? She thought she was getting away with it. Now, Jack could have ended this game at any point. He had enough proof, enough suspicious behavior, enough inconsistencies to call her out. But where was the fun in that? No, he had a much better idea. He needed to give Olivia one final push. Something to make her feel really secure, just before he yanked the rug out from under her. So, Jack decided to be the perfect husband. The next morning, he woke up early and made coffee for both of them. Olivia, looking half asleep and vaguely confused, stared at him like he had just announced he'd taken up interpretive dance. "What's all this?" she asked. Jack shrugged, handing her a mug. "Just thought I'd be nice." She narrowed her eyes. "You don't usually do this." Jack forced a sheepish smile. "Yeah, I guess I've just been thinking. I know I've been a little distant lately, and I don't want us to drift apart. So, I figured I'd put in more effort." Olivia visibly relaxed. "Oh, that's nice." "Yeah," Jack nodded. "And you were right. I shouldn't be so weird about the gym thing. It's your time, and I should respect that." Her shoulders loosened. "Exactly," Jack grinned, sipping his coffee. Olivia had no idea he was lying through his teeth. That evening, he went one step further. "Babe," he said as she was getting ready to run errands, "I was thinking we should do a date night. Like, a real one. Dinner, maybe a movie, just like we used to." Olivia turned around so fast, she nearly dropped her purse. "Oh, when?" "Saturday," Jack said smoothly. "I already made reservations." Her expression flickered for just a second. The math was clearly happening in her head. Whatever plan she actually had for Saturday was now in jeopardy. But she forced a smile. "That sounds great." Jack beamed. "Awesome. I'll pick you up after the gym." And there it was. The exact moment she realized she had walked into a trap. Her smile faltered. "After?" Jack nodded. "Yeah, you always go on Saturdays, right? I'll swing by, and we can head to dinner from there." Olivia, to her credit, didn't panic immediately. She was good at thinking on her feet, just not good enough. "Oh well, I might have to cancel the gym that day," she said. Jack raised an eyebrow. "Why?" I think I have a thing. With Sarah." "Ah, yes. The legendary Sarah. Olivia's go-to fake alibi." Jack pretended to consider this. "That's too bad. I was looking forward to picking you up." Olivia quickly recovered. "Well, maybe Sarah and I can reschedule." Jack smiled. "Yeah, that'd be great." Checkmate. For the next couple of days, Jack could see the wheels turning in Olivia's head. She was nervous, overthinking, probably trying to figure out if he suspected something. Good. That's exactly where he wanted her. Now, all he had to do was wait for Saturday. Jack had never looked forward to a Saturday quite like this one. Normally, Saturdays were for sleeping in, doing a couple of errands, and pretending he was finally going to fix that one thing in the house Olivia had been nagging him about for 6 months. But today was different. Today he was going to enjoy himself. It was a special kind of satisfaction watching Olivia try to act normal. He had to give her credit. She was trying. Acting cheerful, making small talk, even throwing in a few casual touches, which he was sure were meant to make him feel guilty for whatever she suspected was going on in his head. Nice try. Jack spent the morning keeping things light. Nothing too suspicious. A casual breakfast, a quick run to the store, even a little TV. Olivia, meanwhile, kept checking her phone like it contained the nuclear codes. Then, as afternoon hit, the inevitable happened. "Hey, so, Olivia started, looking way too casual for someone about to drop a bombshell. "I might need to push back our dinner plans a little." Jack raised an eyebrow, pretending to be surprised. "Oh, what?" She shifted, just slightly. "Sarah's got a thing, and she really needs me to come along." Jack nodded slowly, taking a sip of his drink. "Huh, a thing? Yeah, just, like, a quick thing. Shouldn't take too long." He let the silence sit just long enough to make her uncomfortable before shrugging. "No problem. We'll reschedule." She blinked, like she had expected more of a fight. "Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just this one time. Next weekend." Jack smiled. "Sure. Next weekend." Olivia looked relieved, which was exactly what he wanted. Let her think she won. Let her think she got away with whatever she had planned. Because Jack had his own plan. He waited until Olivia left the house before grabbing his keys. He had no intention of sitting around. If she was so determined to cancel their date for this mysterious thing, Jack figured he might as well see it for himself. The first stop was her gym. He already knew she wouldn't be there, but he wanted to confirm it anyway. A quick drive-by showed exactly what he expected. No Olivia, no car, no sign she had ever stepped foot in the place today. Predictable. Now came the fun part. Jack wasn't a genius, but he knew Olivia. And if she was skipping out on him today, she wasn't just sitting in a coffee shop reading a book. She was with someone. So, he did what any reasonable man in his situation would do. He started checking places she had been too busy to visit with him lately. The shopping center, the nearby park, even the overpriced lounge she used to drag him to before suddenly deciding it wasn't her scene anymore. Nothing. Jack was about to consider another strategy when he spotted something familiar, a car parked outside a quiet little apartment complex. Olivia's car. Jack parked down the street, watching for a moment. No movement. No sign of her. And then, there it was. The front door to one of the units opened, and out stepped Ethan. Olivia followed right behind him. Jack wasn't even angry. He was impressed. The audacity, the sheer confidence of it. Cheating and using the same co-worker he'd been suspicious of months ago? Incredible. Jack could have gotten out of the car right then and there. Could have walked up, said something, made a scene. But where was the fun in that? Instead, he pulled out his phone, snapped a quick picture, then another. And then, because he was feeling especially entertained by the whole thing, he sent Olivia a text. Hope Sarah's thing is going well. Don't keep her waiting too long. From his car, he saw Olivia check her phone. And then, the exact reaction he was hoping for. Panic. Jack had seen a lot of interesting things in his life. A man trying to parallel park for 7 full minutes and still failing. A woman bringing her own condiments to a restaurant. His neighbor, Phil, attempting to install a ceiling fan while holding a beer in one hand and the instruction manual in the other. But none of it, absolutely none of it, compared to the show Olivia was putting on right now. The moment she saw his text, she did what anyone caught in the middle of something they shouldn't be doing would do. She froze. Completely. If Ethan had been paying attention, he might have noticed the way her face lost all color, how her phone nearly slipped from her fingers. But Ethan, ever the oblivious side character in this tragic comedy, just kept talking. Jack watched from a safe distance as Olivia went through the 5 stages of panic. Stage 1, confusion. She read the text twice, maybe 3 times, like it would change the message if she just stared at it long enough. Stage 2, denial. A quick glance around, like maybe, just maybe, there was some way she had misunderstood. Stage 3, panic. The rapid typing. The quick delete. The retyping. The deleting again. Stage 4, horrible realization. Her head snapped up, scanning her surroundings. Jack could only imagine what was going through her mind. Had he followed her? Was he watching her? Was this some kind of psychic trick? And finally, stage 5, desperation. Her response came in fast. Olivia, hey, what do you mean? Jack smirked. Ah, classic. Playing fool. A bold choice, considering she had no idea how much he actually knew. He let her sweat for a minute before replying. Jack, just checking in. You sounded so busy earlier. Hope Sarah's okay. From his car, he could see her shoulders tense. Olivia had always been a terrible liar, but this was an Olympic-level performance in terrible improvisation. A few seconds later, his phone buzzed again. Olivia, yeah, she's fine. Just a little drama. Nothing crazy. Oh, this was fantastic. He almost felt bad. Almost. Jack tapped his fingers against the steering wheel, considering his next move. He could drag this out, let her dig her own grave deeper. Or he could get to the part he had been waiting for, the part where he finally got to have some fun. He settled on a compromise. Jack, good to hear. Actually, since I'm already out, maybe I'll swing by Sarah's and say hi. I haven't seen her in forever. Now that got a reaction. Olivia practically leaped out of her skin. She turned away from Ethan, stepping a few feet away like she needed oxygen. Then, the inevitable phone call. Jack let it ring a few times before answering. Hey, babe. Her voice was forced, way too cheerful. Hey. So, you don't need to do that. Do what? Jack asked innocently. Go see Sarah, Olivia said quickly. She's, super overwhelmed. Really not in the mood for visitors. Jack hummed. That's weird. She always liked me. Well, you know how it is, Olivia rushed. Girl stuff. Emotional stuff. Right, Jack said. Hey, real quick, where exactly are you? Silence. And there it was. The moment she realized she was caught. Olivia wasn't stupid. She knew Jack. She knew that if he was asking, it wasn't because he didn't know. It was because he did. She started, then stopped. Then started again. I mean, I'm still with Sarah. Jack laughed. Sure you are. Olivia flinched. It was the smallest thing, barely noticeable, but Jack saw it. Now came the moment of truth. Jack let the silence stretch, just long enough for her to feel it. Then, in the calmest voice he could manage, he said, "You know, I was really hoping you'd at least try to respect me while cheating." Nothing. No response. The kind of silence that only happens when someone has just realized their entire life is about to fall apart. Jack continued, "But instead I got this. Bad acting. Terrible excuses. You really should have planned better." Olivia made a sound, a mixture between shock and disbelief. Jack, Save it, he interrupted. "I already know. I've known. The gym? The chair? The wall? You think I'm a fool?" "No. Jack sighed. "Look, I'm not here for your explanations. I just wanted to see how far you'd take this." And wow, Olivia," Jack added, unable to help himself. "You really went all in." She was floundering now. Jack, please. You're at Ethan's, right?" he asked casually. "I mean, I know you are, but I figured I'd be polite and ask." Silence again. Jack nodded to himself. "Cool. Glad we cleared that up. Anyway, I won't keep you. You probably have so much cardio left to do." And with that, he hung up. For the next 5 minutes, his phone exploded. Calls. Texts. One after another, all from Olivia. He didn't answer a single one. Instead, he did what he had been planning to do since the moment he caught her. He drove home, packed a bag, and walked out. By the time Olivia finally made it back, the place was empty. No Jack. No notes. Nothing except for a single, beautiful message left on the bathroom mirror in dry erase marker. Hope the workout was worth it. Jack had never felt lighter. Thanks for watching. Rate the story in the comments. Subscribe to the channel